In organisms and population, we have studied the different aspects of the adaptations, the responses to the factors, abiotic factors by the organisms. Now, related to the organisms, we have the study of population. Now, what is population and the relative aspects of population? So, generally, we can say that a population is a group of individuals or an organisms which belong to the same species. This is a simple meaning of population. But to define exactly, it is the total number of interbreeding population. So that means those organisms, they are capable of reproduction among themselves, and it is only the members of a species that can interbreed and produce the next generation. So organisms belonging to the same species, they can interbreed and which are found in a particular area for a given time. Then also that is very important, in a particular time and in a particular specific geographical area. And usually these members or individuals, they compete for the same resources. So usually when we say population, we refer to the human beings. So when we say a population of an area, that area is a restricted area. It is having certain boundary limit. So individuals present within that area, so they usually are having a type of competition. So they share the natural resources which are present. So that is the population. And the population is having certain attributes. That means it is influenced by certain factors. For example, the birth rate, the death rate, and the sex ratio. So the birth rate also affects the population. So if there are more and more births, and there will be increase in the population naturally. And when there are more deaths in a population, automatically the population or the amount of that population will reduce in its quantity or in its number. And the sex ratio also is influencing the population. So when the male and females are in a particular ratio, then there is increase in the population. Now suppose even if there are favorable resources or conditions, if the females are very less in that population and if more males are there, automatically the reproduction or the population will not increase. So the females are actually the main cause for the increase in the next generation. So generally we can say that if females are very less in a population, then the population will be controlled, and thus the population will be less. So more and more females increase the rate of respiration. So that is what is the population or the sex ratio. Then age pyramid. So age pyramid is a graphical representation which we can represent the different age groups in a population. So there are pre-reproductive groups, reproductive groups, and post-reproductive groups. So pre-reproductive groups means they cannot reproduce. They are below the age of 12 or 13 if you take the human beings. So 12, 13 below, they cannot reproduce. They are unable, they are not having any ability to reproduction. And above 12, 13, reproductive age we can say. And this pre-reproductive, reproductive, and post-reproductive. Post means after reproduction. For example, the females, they cannot reproduce usually after 45 to 50 years. So that is post-reproductive. That means it is old age. So like that, pre-reproductive, reproductive, and post-reproductive. So in a population, the number of pre-reproductive individuals, reproductive individuals, and post-reproductive individuals also will decide the population in a area. For example, we can represent three pyramids showing the pre-reproductive, reproductive, and post-reproductive. So in a population, if there are more pre-reproductive and reproductive, so definitely the population will rise. That is the post-reproductive. So that means the post-reproductive are very less. The reproductive and pre-reproductive are more in number. So automatically the population will be expanding, means increasing. So when both reproductive and pre-reproductive are more in number. Old age persons are very less. So they do not involve in reproduction. They do not increase the individuals. So they are only for the counting of the population they are considered. And similarly, the population becomes stable whenever this reproductive, post-reproductive and the pre-reproductive are almost equal in number. So almost, not exactly. So when they are equal, so it is almost in a stable state. Now declining means the pre-reproductive and the reproductive ages are less, and the post-reproductive are also less. So when pre-reproductive are less, so they cannot contribute to the increase in the number of the individuals or the population. So that is declining state of the population. So we can represent this pyramid in three types. These are the three types of pyramids which are called as expanding pyramid, then stable pyramid and declining pyramid. Then about the population density, which is represented by capital N. So population density means it is the measurement of the population, and population of a species. Population means it is a group of same species per unit area in a given time. So the measurement of the population in a particular area at a given time, it is called as population density. So now in a particular habitat or a geographical area, the density, population density is due to four basic processes. So there are four causes for population density, either increasing or decreasing. So they are natality, mortality, then immigration, emigration. So natality means the number of the births which are present in that population or which occur in that population is called as the natality. So that is, natality means the number of the births which are produced in that area in that given period or a given time. That is the number of births. So automatically opposite to this, mortality, the number of deaths. So in a population, how many number of births are there? That is natality. How many number of deaths occur in that area in a given time? It is mortality. Then immigration, IMM. So immigration, that is represented by capital I. Now this immigration is the number of the individuals which are added to the population for a given time. That is called as immigration. For example, in a population, there are certain individuals which come to that area and they do not live permanently. They come for a certain purpose and they go back to their own place. For example, in our city, if certain individuals come for certain jobs, comes of certain work, they live here for some months or some years at the most. So after living here, they do not remain permanently. For a time being, they add to our population, and that is called as immigration. So immigration means so those individuals which have left that area for a certain purpose, and actually they are of this area itself, but they have left to other area and for some purpose, and after that they come back and settle in their own place. That is immigration, capital E. So for example, from our city, certain individuals go for some jobs. It may be for software work, engineer, or some any other jobs. They go there for some months or some years at the most, and they come back to our place and they contribute to our population. For a time being, they have left our place and there is reduction in the population due to their living or the going away from the particular area. That is immigration. So this these are the four basic processes which affect the population density. Now we can represent the population density by this figure. So the population density, the immigration adds to the population density, that is plus. So similarly, natality, births, B, deaths, mortality. So B means birth, natality. So death minus. So that means when the deaths occur, definitely there is reduction in the number of the individuals, and immigration also it is that is minus from that population density. So immigration adds to the population density, natality adds to the population density, mortality and emigration will reduce or decrease the population density. So we can write the population density like this. So when we want to calculate the population density, the population of that area divided by the total land area or the water volume. If you take a lake, so a lake volume and the total number of individuals of that same species. If you want to take a lake, so area of the lake or the volume of the water, and take a particular species of fish population and calculate the population density. So like that on the land we can calculate the different population density, and that is how we can calculate by a simple equation. Now if n is the population density at time t, if we want to calculate by the help of these four basic processes. So if the density is t plus 1 time, so that population density t plus 1 will be calculated like this. So this is the population density at a time t, so plus the sum of births and immigration. So this is the addition of the individuals to that population. So when this is added, when we minus that by the removing of the organisms, so that means the deaths and immigration. So that the total of the removed individuals, the deaths and the immigration. So by when we minus that from this addition, so this is addition, this is removal. So when we take this difference and add with the population density at time t, we get the population density at time t plus 1. So these are the related aspects of population. So here all these are for short questions. Define population, define age pyramid, define population density, what is natality, what is mortality, what is immigration, what is emigration, and write the equation of population density. So all these are the brief short aspects of population density. Thank you.